Okay. Hi, I'm Sailor Moon, and I'm Sailor Mini Moon. And today we're going to talk about, exactly what happened yesterday. So, yesterday we went to make a film, and we weren't sure what didn't like we were talking about. So we made it again. Didn't like it. We go make the third one, and that's when we lose our lights. And then when they come back on, and we get the leaner back on, the interweb's not on yet. But camcorder is, and camcorder had no business being on since there was no interweb. But that's near or there. Alright. The true grounds to this film is, why was there cleaning ship in Deacon Pioneer and Cloverway Sailor Moon? A lot of folks always ask why there was. But here is the true answer. Well, apparently there were laws, at least I guess there were laws that said what you could and could not have in a drawing film and a live drawing show. So anything that had if there's any kind of tools, well, those are gone. If there was any kind of blood, that was gone. So at the time the laws were, the laws at the time did not have any loopholes. If there was something that you couldn't have on a Farseer, it was gone. And let's keep in mind at the time in the United States and in Canada, their laws were all very close to the same when it came to what was all right for kids to see on the Farseer and what was not. So at the end of the day, you can't point and say, well, at the end of the day, both lands handled it the same way. So you can't say that it was only done in that one land and not anywhere else. That was why. It wasn't that Deke thought they had to speed up the show. It wasn't that Pioneer Cloverway didn't think it was good. It was that the law said if anyone is getting harmed and any overly harmed, if anyone has working a tool on someone, if there's any kind of blood in some way, then it's gone. No asking asked. It's gone. And that was why Deke had to follow those laws at the time. Not just in Canada, but in the United States and any other land where it would be showing, especially at that point. Now, if Deacon Pioneer and Cloverway Sailor Moon was going on now, I'm sure the laws are a little less what they used to be. So I'm sure you can still kind of now do it. But I know there's going to be someone out there saying, oh, hold on there. The Power Rangers was a live Farseer show, and there were things they were doing that, and nobody had to clean that up. Yeah, true, Sailor Moon, but they did get the Power Rangers did get a lot of wrong seeked on them for that as well. So, yeah. And I know there's going to be folks out there saying, oh, well, it was wrong for it to be in kids' shows, but you see it in the news every day. You see it in sports games. Yeah, well, I'm not going to talk about the unlike between a drawing film or lived drawing show and how games or news has like that every day. Well, the unlike is that that's everyday life, okay? That's true life. But, yeah. Point is, I'm not going to get into that. But then again, games and news were too grown up, so they didn't really have to clean it up. But sadly, at that time, the law said if you saw any blood, it was gone. If there was anything it had to do with love making or kin making, that was gone. if there was anything that had to do with someone working a tool on someone, harming them, overly harming them, it was gone. And that was why Deke had to do it. That was why Pioneer had to do it. That was why Cloverway had to do it. That was why either things were cut out and put in for Sailor Says, or why things were cut out and never put in at all. Because there were a lot of things that was not all right for kids to see on the Farseer at that time. Now, maybe now would have been a little unlike now, but back then the law said you can't have it, you can't have it. And if you didn't cut it out and put it in there, then it would be unlawful. Maybe now it might be a different unlike. You're right, Sailor Mini Moon. Now the laws might not be like they used to be. Maybe you can show a little bit of that now and drawing films and lived drawings, but back then you really could not do that. You had to kind of watch how now you can kind of get away with it a little bit now, maybe more than you could before, but but back then it was like, nope, you can't have it. And I know there's going to be folks saying, oh, well, there were other drawing films and other live drawing shows that had that in it, maybe, but if they were, they were never aired in the United States and Canada and New Zealand and Australia and England, the other English-speaking country lands. If the law said it couldn't be put in it, maybe they were going on in other lands where they didn't have to do it, because other lands' laws didn't really say if it was right or wrong to have it in there. But back then it was. Now it's another saga and tale. But back then was a whole unlike world. If anyone remembered growing up during that time, especially during the 1980s, the 1990s, that was the way it was handled. So that's why Deke had to do all those shifts to my show. That's why Pioneer and Cloverway had to do all the shifts to the show. Since the law said what you could and could not put on the Farseer or on the live speaker or, when it came to kids. All right? And you can't just say, oh, well, it was just the United States that had those laws. No, Canada had those laws too. So did England, so did Australia, so did New Zealand, and the other English-speaking land had laws at the time that said you couldn't do that kind of shit. So that's why my show was handled the way it was handled by Deke and Pioneer and Cloverway back then. Why Viz can just have it out there with not being shifted is that the laws are a little unlike now, But then again, you have to remember that the Viz Uncut was not targeted to kids, to grown-ups. That's what Viz is giving them out for. But then the laws are not like they used to be. So maybe if Deke and Pioneer and Cloverway were doing Sailor Moon now, they might not have been as, down on it as they were then. But back then they were. So that's why Sailor Moon's show was treated the way it was treated by Deke and Pioneer and Cloverway. That's why it couldn't be the way it was, the way that Toei had it made, the way it was outside. And why Viz can do it now this way, and why it couldn't be done that way. That's why things were cut out, followings were cut out completely, and other stuff, because of those laws at the time. I'm Sailor Moon, I'm Sailor Mini Moon, see you later. Ow.